In a world where internet viewers want to learn more about their favorite action heroes, there's only one man who can step up and discuss them, and that's me, the notorious Nick. And it's time for us all to grab our swimming pool-sized popcorn and learn some more about the leading men from our favorite summer blockbusters. Collectively, our top evil thwarters have kicked thousands of asses over the years and saved the day hundreds of times. And that's a great thing, because if we ever needed a hero, it's right now. Today, we're talking about some of our favorite action stars of yesterday and today, and just why audiences can't get enough of them. Be sure to punch that like for us and roundhouse kick the subscribe button. And if you need to pause this video to get a quick workout in and get all oiled up, we totally understand. Otherwise, stick around and find out. What happened? Sylvester Stallone. Most action stars can consider themselves fortunate to enjoy one hugely successful franchise, but Sly Stallone has several. Creed 2 was the 8th film in the series that began with Rocky, and John Rambo has squared off with enemies from around the world. In 1976, audiences enjoyed rooting for the Italian stallion when the southpaw from the city of brotherly love got his once-in-a-lifetime title shot against the great Apollo Creed. But Sly's experience getting the film made might have been an even bigger underdog story. When Stallone watched the now famous Chuck Wepner-Muhammad Ali fight in 1975, he got the inspiration for Rocky when he saw Wepner go the distance, after not being expected to last more than 3 rounds. Wepner took as much abuse in the ring as Ali could dish out. After 15 rounds, Wepner lost by a TKO, but many argue that he won the fight. Sound familiar? Rocky's success led to 2 sequels in the early 80s, and after defeating both Thunder Lips and Clubber Lang in Rocky III, Stallone then introduced the world to John Rambo in 1982's First Blood.
Rambo is a pussy.
Yo Adrian is number 80 on AFI's all-time top 100 movie quotes, and Roger Ebert himself said that Stallone could have been the next Marlon Brando. Stallone could have been a contender. No one goes into a Sylvester Stallone flick expecting to see an art film, and the film critics have really let him have it over the years. He's been frequently parodied by comedians, talk show hosts, and internet commenters. Yet there is no doubt he is a cultural phenomenon. There's no give up in Rocky, and none in Stallone either. After all these years, he's still going as strong as ever. In just the last decade, Stallone wrote, directed, and starred in the first of his new franchise. The muscle-packed, vein-bursting Expendables began in 2010, and Rambo Last Blood came out in 2019, and it's definitely a Rambo movie for Rambo fans. Explosions galore. John Wayne. The Western is one of the most enduring film genres of all time, and no one had more notches on their rifle stock than the Duke. In fact, John Wayne still holds the record for most Western leading roles, championing over 140 films, while serving in a supporting role just 11 times. So technically, no one else is even on his level. Wayne was born Marion Robert Morrison, but you know, that doesn't sound as cool as John Wayne. So Fox Studio execs changed his name with the stroke of a pen, in a discussion where he wasn't even present. Most John Wayne fans would argue that he was best when he was teaming up with legendary director John Ford, of whom he starred in at least a dozen films, including the classics 1939's Stagecoach and 1962's The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
When the legend becomes fact, print the legend. He's right, Rance.
But Wayne often stated that his personal favorite film was The Searchers in '56, and his son Ethan is even named after the Duke's character Ethan Edwards. You gotta check that one out if you've never seen it. John Wayne famously said, quote, "A man's got to have a code, a creed to live by, no matter his job." And he was well known for speaking his mind, no matter the consequences.
How many of you are pushing 50 and complaining that the country is going to hell?
tales of his personal life match his no-nonsense tough guy on-screen persona. Once at a Las Vegas hotel, Wayne was trying to get some rest before a film shoot, and Frank Sinatra was hosting a loud party in the suite directly below. After multiple phone calls complaining, the party didn't stop, so the Duke put on his robe and slippers and headed downstairs to make his complaint in person. One of Sinatra's bodyguards ended up telling him, quote, "Nobody talks to Mr. Sinatra that way." And after pretending to turn and leave, Wayne backhanded the bodyguard and knocked him unconscious. The noise stopped, and this old cowboy was able to sack out for the evening. The Duke's final movie was The Shootist in '76, which many say is semi-autobiographical because of his struggles with cancer. John Wayne lived 3 more years after that, before riding into his final sunset in 1979. His life was so legendary, he even has a major airport in Southern California named after him. Will Smith. What a career path! Before he saved the world from aliens, Will Smith was a Grammy Award-winning rapper. Parents Just Don't Understand was a rap hit all the way back in 1988, before rap was the huge market it is today. Then he got in one little fight and his mom got scared, and Will had to move in with his auntie and uncle in Bel Air. The Fresh Prince of Bel Air was so popular that fan response revived the show 2 times after cancellation by NBC. But Will Smith also felt like the show was running out of steam, and he had huge dreams, because Will wanted to be the biggest star in the world. So he studied the characteristics of the most successful films and actors of all time. In Independence Day, Will Smith got his big break fighting aliens, and successfully converted a massive budget film into massive box office success. Will looked to his on-screen idol Harrison Ford for inspiration, and he based the character of Captain Stephen Hiller on Han Solo. And it was this combination of charisma and wisecracks that made Independence Day what it is. Thus, the Fresh Prince was crowned the new king of Hollywood, and he's pretty much been reigning ever since. Will Smith famously passed on the role of Neo in The Matrix to make Wild Wild West, which didn't have quite the same cultural impact, a decision he considers his biggest career regret. I do love Keanu, but man, I would love to see Will's version too.
I probably would have messed The Matrix up. I would have ruined it. So I did Jaw a favor.
Luckily, his subsequent career has included several wildly popular franchises, including the beloved Men in Black series, More Aliens, and of course Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence. He also received Oscar nominations for Best Actor for The Pursuit of Happiness and the Muhammad Ali boxing biopic, all the while continuing a thriving music career, not to mention some voice acting. Ever seen Shark Tale? No, not Finding Nemo. The other one, Shark Tale. Smith's marital troubles with his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, were in the headlines recently, but the couple are still married and frequently discuss their unconventional relationship in interviews. Smith's film King Richard, a biopic of Venus and Serena Williams' father, is currently in post-production, and Smith is also developing Bad Boys 4. That's some bad news for the bad guys. Harrison Ford. It's nearly impossible to imagine the Star Wars franchise without Harrison Ford. Ford was a relatively unknown actor, and not George Lucas's first choice. The wisecracking scoundrel always seemed to have the last word when dealing with Luke, Leia, and Obi-Wan. And it wasn't too many years later that he started taking audiences on the ride of their lives with the Indiana Jones franchise. Harrison also starred in Ridley Scott's dystopian futuristic thriller Blade Runner, based on sci-fi author Philip K. Dick's 1968 novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Blade Runner is a cult classic, and the critical reception generally concludes it was way ahead of its time. But it was Ford's performance in 1986's Witness that earned him an Academy Award nomination, and his body of work includes playing hero Jack Ryan in several Tom Clancy film adaptations, framed Dr. Richard Kimball in The Fugitive, and President James Marshall in Wolfgang Petersen's Air Force One.
Get off my plane.
Harrison most recently acted in a film adaptation of Jack London's Call of the Wild. And get ready, a new Indiana Jones film is currently in development. Arnold Schwarzenegger. After winning multiple Mr. Universe titles, a young Austrian bodybuilder flexed his way into Hollywood as Hercules and Conan the Barbarian. Conan had made Arnold a household name, and he further cemented his place in Hollywood history, playing an emotionless cyborg assassin from the future in 1984's The Terminator. The Terminator was originally intended for O.J. Simpson, but producers thought that his public reputation as a nice guy would make him an unconvincing villain. Yep. Thankfully too, because Schwarzenegger was the perfect fit.
I'll be back.
Is number 37 on AFI's Top 100 Movie Quotes, and has been a trademark catchphrase throughout Schwarzenegger's career.
I'll be back. Ha! You did not gonna say that, did you?
That's what you always say.
Arnold then took on 1985's Commando, which he agreed to do because it didn't require him to be a caveman or a robot. John Matrix was just a normal guy, looking to put his military career behind him and settle down with his daughter. Too bad his old enemies track him down and try to force him to assassinate an old ally. Schwarzenegger's marriage to Maria Shriver in 1986 was certainly the subject of a lot of discussion. The affluent Kennedy family welcomed the action star, and the new power couple moved into the California governor's mansion in 2003 when Schwarzenegger was elected governor in a special recall election. The Governator was in office until 2011, and there was even brief talk of a presidential bid. After leaving office, it was revealed that Schwarzenegger had fathered a child with the family's live-in maid, and Shriver filed for divorce. His son, Joseph Baena, is 23 years old and takes after Dad a lot. Arnold's personal problems haven't seemed to slow down his acting career a bit, and a new Conan film is in development, as well as the announcements of triplets, once again re-teaming with co-star Danny DeVito, and meeting their new sibling, Eddie Murphy. Oh my god, yes. Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson's early career as a professional wrestler was frequently compared to the rise of Hulk Hogan. Even though Hogan was never the most technically gifted wrestler, his showmanship and peak interview game made him a superstar. Fast forward to the late 90s, and everything had changed. The Hulkster was a heel leading the infamous New World Order at WCW. And over on the other channel, all the kids were smelling what The Rock was cooking. His first appearances on Saturday Night Live gave him a chance to showcase his other skills, and The Rock's popularity led to a featured appearance in 2001's The Mummy Returns. Fans bowed down to the King, and in turn, Dwayne Johnson received a standalone Scorpion King feature in 2002, and the rest is history. During Johnson's third SNL appearance, he appeared for the first time using his own name.
Hope we share many more adventures together.
Well, let's keep it professional, Miss Reese.
And announced his intention to retire from wrestling and pursue acting full-time. Films like Walking Tall and The Rundown were popular amongst action film fans. And in 2011, he joined the Fast and Furious squad as Hobbs in Fast 5.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby, or...
I'm just playing.
You better hide that big-ass forehead.
I was just joking.
In subsequent years, Johnson has been a box office darling and one of the hardest working leading men in show business. In addition to his action flicks, he's also a staple in family programming, voicing numerous animated characters, including Maui in Pixar's Moana. And when Jumanji was rebooted, Dwayne was at the helm. And the reboot took a video game spin, and it's really quite funny and entertaining. Just recently, he was announced as the lead in another highly anticipated reboot, and there's gonna be big trouble in Little China. Let's go. Tom Cruise. In the early 80s, a small group of 20-somethings known as the Brat Pack were taking the world by storm in angsty coming-of-age teenage flicks. The exact members of this pack are subject to some debate, but Tom Cruise is often included by virtue of his involvement in The Outsiders. But after playing a prominent role in the star-studded ensemble, Cruise landed back-to-back leading roles in All the Right Moves and Risky Business. But the cocky young heartthrob took everyone's breath away in 1986, as Pete Maverick Mitchell. Young men everywhere enjoyed the adrenaline rush of watching Maverick, Goose, and Iceman compete to be the best of the best, while their adoring partners enjoyed an adrenaline rush too, watching that too-hot-to-handle volleyball match. Cruise's notable marital problems and strong claims about the benefits of Scientology have occasionally threatened to overshadow his blockbuster career, but the mysterious man continues to pull.
Show me the money!
He is the first actor to star in 5 consecutive films grossing $100 million or more, and has subsequently chosen highly lucrative back-end deals in lieu of an upfront salary. Cruise is also known for meticulously preparing for his roles, and does much of his own stunt work. In 2004's Collateral, Cruise plays Vincent, a well-trained hitman, and during one of the film's most memorable scenes, a couple of street toughs learn the hard way that Vince is armed too. Cruise's textbook drawl is so well executed that tactical experts routinely use it as a training tool for soldiers and police officers. Top Gun Maverick is currently in post-production, and Cruise is currently filming 2 additional Mission Impossible sequels simultaneously. He is also planning to go on a SpaceX mission in preparation for an upcoming film project, because, well, of course he is. Steve McQueen. The king of cool did not necessarily have a cool upbringing. After constant abuse and struggles with his mother and stepfather growing up in Indiana, he was declared incorrigible and was sent to the California Junior Boys Republic in Chino. McQueen left Chino at the age of 16.
What do I remember most about my childhood? Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, if you want to know.
That's great.
And briefly rejoined his mother, who had moved to New York's Greenwich Village before enlisting in the Marine Corps. His rebelliousness got him busted back down to private 7 times, and he even spent over a month in the brig. But he cleaned up his act a little and used the GI Bill to pay for his studies in New York, and was mentored by legendary acting coaches Lee Strasberg and Uta Hagen. McQueen's lifelong passion for racing was often reflected in the roles he took.
Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life.
Action film buffs and motorheads alike were thrilled to Frank Bullitt's Highland Green 68 Ford Mustang 390 GT as it powered through the hilly streets of San Francisco. Best car chase ever? Well, get in the comments and let me know if anything gets even close. Not to mention, Steve McQueen did the driving for most of his stunts. But during Bullitt, there was an incident involving him hitting a parked vehicle, and the following day he arrived to set to find a stuntman behind the wheel. McQueen's wife at the time, actress Neil Adams, had begged the director Peter Yates for the switch, and although McQueen was furious, he relented. He is often mistakenly credited with all of the driving for this film. McQueen was one of the first actors to negotiate for his billing on movie posters and marquees. He was originally cast alongside Paul Newman in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but left the project because he wasn't able to get equal billing. You see, he was big on perception. Many of his fans think that he was the most magnificent in The Magnificent Seven by upstaging lead Yul Brynner with background action. In fact, the two of them had such an acrimonious relationship that director John Sturges began to lose control of the set, and there were rumors that Brynner was going to have McQueen fired. The two actors reconciled shortly before McQueen's death, and Steve thanked his co-star for not having him booted from what turned out to be a career-defining role. The success of The Towering Inferno made McQueen such a hot commodity that he was able to force producers to put their money where their mouth was. McQueen insisted that any scripts sent to him be accompanied by a check for $1.5 million, half of the $3 million salary that he was commanding at the time. If he liked the film, he'd cash the check and let the producer figure out how to raise the other half. And if the producer was unsuccessful, Steve kept the money. In 1978, McQueen developed a heavy cough, which was soon discovered to be mesothelioma. The theory is that the condition resulted from the asbestos used to fireproof his cars and clothing. He quit smoking and underwent numerous experimental treatments before passing away in Mexico in November of 1980. He was just 50 years old. Steve McQueen was cremated, and his ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean. Errol Flynn. In the late 1920s, the introduction of sound in film officially kicked off the golden age of Hollywood.
Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
The studio moguls began taking a vertically integrated approach to the movie business, controlling all the means of production and distribution. They even controlled the actors themselves. The first talkies were plays recreated on a small soundstage around a hidden microphone. But it wasn't long before the studios started creating exciting cinematic events in a constant effort to one-up each other. Enter Errol Flynn, born in Tasmania, Australia, who fled to England to escape legal troubles and jealous husbands. He did a number of odd jobs before taking up acting, but it wasn't long before his good looks and athletic prowess caught the eye of talent scouts at Warner Brothers. His first leading role happened when Robert Donat had to withdraw from playing the title role in 1935's Captain Blood. Errol Flynn soon became a swashbuckling staple of the early action and adventure genre. Yet it was his personal life that might have been even more exciting than his on-screen adventures. Flynn was one of Hollywood's original bad boys, and had a reputation for being the life of the party, and legendary with the ladies. The well-known expression, "in like Flynn," is a nod to his alleged sexual prowess.
No alarms have been triggered. He's in like the Flynn.
But he was also named a defendant in 3 statutory rape trials. Flynn's hard-living, hard-loving lifestyle began to catch up with him, and he struggled to get leading parts as his dashing good looks faded with time. He did manage to secure a few supporting roles later in his career, often playing an aging alcoholic. In fact, when Flynn died of a heart attack in 1959 at the age of just 50, the medical examiner reportedly said that he had the body of an 85-year-old man. Bruce Willis. 30 years after the 1988 release of Die Hard, 20th Century Fox formally admitted that it was, in fact, a Christmas movie.
Ho, ho, ho.
And many consider it the perfect Christmas flick for people who don't like the usual Christmas movie. But producing the film might have been a bigger challenge than John McClane single-handedly defeating a crew of well-financed thieves. Fox was initially hesitant to put Willis on the first movie poster due to concerns that audiences may expect a comedy. But Die Hard was a runaway hit, and action fans couldn't get enough of Willis. His characters all had disastrous personal lives, but you couldn't help but root for them. And he made the transition from action to comedy seamlessly, and audiences were occasionally treated to glimpses of real humanity as the wisecracking underdog overcame the odds. In addition to the Die Hard franchise, he stood out in films like The Last Boy Scout and The Only Man for the Job in Armageddon. His turbulent relationship with now ex-wife Demi Moore is still in tabloid headlines, as well as his failed investment with several famous partners in the Planet Hollywood restaurant chain. Willis does have a reputation for being difficult to work with, which director Kevin Smith discussed in numerous interviews. Since the 1990s, numerous action films have attempted to copy the formula of Die Hard, and it's not uncommon for one to describe an action film as Die Hard on a train, or Die Hard on a plane, and so forth. In 2017, the Library of Congress selected Die Hard for preservation in the National Film Registry, and the 30th anniversary DVD even bills itself as the greatest Christmas story ever told. Take that, Ralphie. Merry Christmas and yippee-ki-yay, mother. Willis's latest film, Cosmic Sin, was released in March 2021, and he's always a busy man, including the upcoming feature film, McClane. Whew, I am all sweaty now, and I hope you are too. I mean, those guys have given us hours, days of entertainment, and I'm sure we all have a favorite film of each of theirs. So get in the comments and share your favorite action flick from each Hollywood beefcake. And if you have other additions for an Action Star Round 2 video, drop those suggestions there too. We read every comment and we look forward to hearing your thoughts. If you enjoyed our tussle with these titans, be sure to like this video for us and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on what happened.